It's April 1st, 2025. Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey just finished speaking for over 25 hours. 25 hours and 5 minutes to be precise. Though many thought he was engaging in a filibuster, it wasn't actually that. My name is Nurse Jelani, citizen nurse, here with another edition of Civics 101 for Healthcare. So imagine Senator Cory Booker speaking the length of 2 back-to-back 12-hour shifts plus overtime. That is pretty amazing. But let's go back to the concept of filibuster. Like I said, even though he engaged in speaking for over a day, it was not a filibuster. But back in the day, politicians didn't have time limits and they could go speaking for hours and hours on end. So a filibuster is a political maneuver used in the US Senate to delay or block a vote by extending the debate indefinitely. A filibuster is like when you're stuck in that never-ending shift report. When you're ready to go, you have your notes, you know that your patient needs a medication at 8 o'clock, but the nurse handing off report to you is going back to the first day that the patient was admitted in the hospital 83 days ago. And you're trying to be polite, you're trying to get up, but you know this nurse is coming back tonight and you just have to sit there and listen. So again, Cory Booker didn't engage in a filibuster today. He was giving a speech which broke the record and was previously held by Strom Thurmond about 68 years ago. Why do filibusters matter, especially to nurses? Because filibusters have real-life consequences on health policy. Critical bills that affect nursing staffing ratios, workplace safety, funding for critical health services can be upheld because a senator who doesn't agree with the proposed legislation can basically filibuster against it so that the members of Congress can't vote on it. Kind of like when you know you have to change the IV in the room next door, but the patient who hasn't had a visitor in like 2 days just keeps talking to you, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta get to the next room before air gets in the line, but you also don't want to cut that patient off, or they won't let you. You've just experienced a filibuster, basically. So that's the distinction. Strom Thurmond in the 1950s spoke for 24 hours to delay voting on the Civil Rights Act. He basically worked the equivalent of 2 12-hour shifts to be on the wrong side of history. And today, Cory Booker gave a speech on the Senate floor, the longest speech in history in Senate, but it wasn't block legislation. So how do you end a filibuster? Well, basically, someone has to call for a vote. So this process is known as cloture. You've worn down the audience enough with the hopes of getting 2/3 majority vote for or against the issue at hand. Essentially, get the vote you want because people just want to go home. We're living in historical times, and hopefully I can make it a little less anxiety-inducing and more understandable for you because knowledge is power, and you have the power.